What's going on, man? It's been a minute. Good to be back in front of you. Definitely missed the Misfit family. But I feel like it's perfect time for us to reconnect, hone in on what it is that we're doing, who it is that we really are. Because I know for a fact, like, a lot of y'all came with me on this journey through TikTok, motivational videos, motivation for the misfits, reality coaching, beginning to see things from a realistic standpoint instead of an emotional one, developing emotional intelligence, learning how to navigate the things that we thought we knew, unlearning, relearning, really honing in on our craft, really honing in on our identity, disconnecting from the definitions and the systematic perspectives that we were given, stepping away from stereotypes. But I just really wanted to take a minute to really walk you through how it is that we got here, how it is that I end up in front of you, what gives me the right, what gives me the confidence, what gives me the audacity to feel like I can come and tell you how to view reality, that I can come and explain to you things about yourself, things about your human nature, things about your perspective, things about your mental aspects, things about like what really gives me the right to sit down and tell you about your motivations and your negative quirks. What gives me the credibility to tell you about you? What gives me the credibility to tell you about how you should approach life? In 2026, it is very common that you find people getting paid to do nothing. One of the biggest industries that I believe that you find that in is life coaches, because you having a successful business does not necessarily give you the knowledge and the know-how of how to tell me how to have a business that'll succeed. You having all of your children inside of one household experience with one woman does not necessarily empower you or make you capable of telling me or anybody else how to have a successful family, how to be a successful father. You got a job at Pizza Hut. You got a job at McDonald's. You can't come and tell me how to get a job at a mega corporation. You can't tell me from your entry level position that you acquired by filling out an application and going to an interview and nervously reciting information about yourself and telling them about your work history. You can't tell me how to navigate my way to being the CEO or the co-CEO or the COO. You can't tell me just because you have a job experience how to go and be successful working for somebody else. And that's why I rock with the term that my sister gave me when she met me. And I'm the reality coach. But again, I revisit the question that I initially asked you. What is it that gives me the credibility to call myself a reality coach? What gives you the motivation to listen to the things that are coming out of my mouth and apply them to your life? Understand, I am never here to convince you of anything. It is my job to pass information. It is my job to stimulate thought. It is my job to provoke you to want better, to do better, to think different, to see different, to operate different, but it is not my job to apply it. And that's why I don't struggle with being accepted or rejected by you on the other side of this screen, because it's just my job to hand it off. As a quarterback, it is my job to accept the snap. It is my job to drop back in the pocket. It is my job to find the receiver. It is my job to throw a good pass, and it is your job to catch it. And I have accepted my role. I have accepted my position. I have accepted my call, my purpose, what it is that I desire to give to the collective. And I have also acknowledged that everybody will not be receiving. Some people will look at me and use something within their broken perspective to identify me as someone that they would never listen to, someone that they would never follow. And I don't want you to follow me. I want you to follow me. I want you to walk with me, because the things that I'm telling you to apply to your life, I apply to mine. And even if I apply them first, that don't make me better than you. I probably have more experience in doing things that don't work than you do. But by me being willing to go through the perils of doing what doesn't work, trying what didn't work, diving into empty pools, I cannot tell you where the water is. And you may very well be just like me and have to go see it for yourself. And that's why I know I'm not talking to people like you. I'm talking to students, not students of me, students of life. I'm a student of life. I'm so hard to defeat. I'm so hard to defeat because I'm a student of life. I'm always learning. I'm always evolving because I'm always depositing knowledge, and I'm always willing to adjust and adapt. I'm always willing to be presented the truth, to realize that I was operating from an illusion or a lie. Discard the illusion or a lie, regardless of how familiar it is to me, and move forward in truth. That's what it is to be a student of life. That's what it is to be wise. To be wise is not to know everything. To be wise is to know that you don't know and constantly seek the knowledge that will propel you forward, and be willing to disconnect from anything that is unbeneficial or inaccurate that you've been holding, regardless of who gave it to you, regardless of how long you've held it. If it's not accurate, if it's not functional, it's got to go. Your grandmother gave you things that aren't accurate. Your grandfather gave you things that aren't working. Your mother, your father, they sent you to church where you learned things that actually operated against you, but because you didn't want to go against the grain, because you didn't want to stop living out the family tradition, because you didn't want to go against the unit, because you didn't want to be rejected, because you didn't want to feel left out, you continued to walk within those bounds, and you continue to suffer and call it being loyal. If you're going to be loyal to anything, be loyal to the truth, be loyal to love, be loyal to the commitment of depositing only edification into the experience of the collective. I'm not coming out here to give you my ego. I'm not coming out here to give you my wins or to gloat or to sit on some scene or provide some type of background that you feel like you want, so you feel like you should listen to me. I literally want you to have no other motive to come and sit in front of me or sit in front of this camera and listen to what I'm saying outside of you wanting to evolve, you wanting to grow, and you knowing that information can lead to the right knowledge, and right knowledge applied can lead to wisdom, and wisdom can lead to fulfillment of your destiny. But you got to be willing to detach. You got to be willing to let go. You got to be willing to know that you don't know, so that we can discover what it is we haven't been willing to discover, because we've been defending what it is that we think we already know for so long. But again, students don't. Students of life, students of truth, do not defend what it is that they think they know. They challenge what it is that they think they know to test their thoughts against truth. And if their thoughts are inaccurate and don't align with truth, then their thoughts are released and the truth is accepted. Truth shall make you free is the religious rhetoric that most of us are familiar with. But what does the truth release us from? What does the truth make us free from? Free from the ignorant, free from the illusions, free from the deception, free from what we used to think, free from what you thought you knew, free from what you thought you wanted, free from what you thought you had, free from what you thought you were, free from where you thought you were. A lot of times the truth will set you free from things that you still wanted to be bound to. Understand, I didn't come to sit in front of this camera to tell you about all of my wins. Actually, as a teacher, actually as a leader, it has been my losses that has equipped me to deposit more knowledge and more value in the people who are in front of me and around me. I can give you the true story. I can give you the whole story, because I don't operate in guilt or shame, because I don't operate out of fear of rejection or fear of what you may think. And that allows for you to pull all the value of my experiences into your experience. And that alone will accelerate you, because I have lived a couple lives inside of this one human experience, because I've thought that I was a couple different people inside of this one human experience, because I've thought that I wanted a couple different lives inside of this human experience. When I jumped on TikTok and I began sharing some of the revelations that were being given to me, some of the knowledge that was being bestowed on me, so that I could unlearn the toxic way of living and seeing myself that I was brought up in, and I could develop this new perspective, this new alignment with truth as it pertains to me, those around me, and my environment. Understand, I was not on TikTok just trying to teach you. I was not on TikTok trying to tell you what to do. I was trying to gain my confidence back from all the losses that I had taken. I was trying to teach myself how to jump again. And it's no different when it comes to our confidence. It's no different when it comes to us launching, when it comes to us jumping, when it comes to us pursuing what it is that we see within ourselves. When you stop utilizing the ability to pursue what you see within and bring it into fruition, you actually practice the suppression and the doubt that it takes to keep you grounded. And I was battling life. I was battling for my children. I was battling for my sanity. I was battling for my mental health. I was battling for my identity. I was under attack in so many different areas, and I hadn't jumped in a long time. I had lost sight of who I was. I had lost the confidence to be who it was that I always knew myself as. So when I jumped out and I started making the videos, it was really more so for me than it was for the viewer, for the people that were double tapping, for the people that were locking in, for the people that were saying that the messages helped them and kept them inspired, and they kept them motivated, and they were changing the way they saw things. Understanding that I'm glad that it had value for you, but it also had value for me. It also was reminding me that this is who I always have been, that I can speak, I can talk, I do have value, I do have information, I do have knowledge, I do have insight, I do have understanding. I had stopped identifying my losses. I had stopped finding the mental inconsistencies that were causing my losses. And I had started identifying myself by my losses. I had started grading myself against my losses. I had started watching the highlights of y'all life on this internet. And at that point, I thought that the internet was a real place that was full of real stories and real people in real life. And I didn't realize that you guys were only exposing what it was that you wanted people to know. For me, life changed when I stopped being an unpaid actor. When I stopped concerning myself with what it was that you were impressed with. When I stopped concerning myself with how you see things. I used to think that I could anticipate how it was that you would react or respond or engage with me. I used to think that I could navigate internally how external situations were going to go. And now that I know it's totally impossible, I live with a mental clarity that sometimes confuses people around me. But it's often not complimented. It's often not understood, because we can only identify what it is we know. So when people see me living without the chaos within, they perceive it to be something that they know, like rejection, like disinterest, like acting funny, like being mad. I no longer identify with my failures. I no longer identify with my past traumas. I no longer identify with my successes. I am that I am. And that's the ever evolving witness to the human experience within this vessel that is eternal. I can take you back to being 7, to my cousin taking me under the cover, making me touch her pussy. My cousin convinced me to have sex with her at 7 years old. Yes, she was 14. It went on till she graduated and went to college. It left me confused. I used to be the lookout for my older brother while he watched pornos in the living room before my mama got home that we had stole from my granddaddy's house in his alphabetically sorted pornography collection that we've discovered in an overnight at this house. Wrapping VHS up in newspaper and sticking it in our book bags and our suitcases before we travel back home. I can tell you about that car ride with my brother, with all of his homeboys, where he passed me the weed and he told me if I ain't hit it, that he wasn't gonna take me to my cousin Avon's house. I can tell you how that sparked. I can tell you about robbing houses. I can tell you about slinging dope as a teenager. I can take you back to being embraced by my teachers. I can take you back to being loved by the people in student services. I can take you all the way back to being embraced by my peers, placed on a high pedestal by my peers, but being conflicted because I'm always doing something that they don't know about. I'm on campus with a gun in my book bag every day. I'm selling weed in the hallway and going to basketball practice after school. Sunday morning, I got to go to church and sit in church like I ain't blowed, like I ain't loaded, like I ain't just have another week that I could have easily not survived. So once again, I can tell you how to be one with yourself, because I once was not. And I had no book. I had no person to walk me through the process of becoming one. During the toughest time of my life, I found myself alone, because when religion rejected me, I rejected religion. When I rejected religion, my father thought I was rejecting him. And my mother was upset because me and my father were at odds, and everybody in between didn't want to get in the middle of it. And I couldn't lean on my children because I was in a custody battle for my children. Just fighting for 50-50 custody, just fighting to get the Department of Revenue off my neck. And I couldn't take a trip to go and sit by the ocean or go hike in the woods or go and climb a mountain to feel good about myself or to preoccupy my mind, because they had took my license. Not only had they taken 60% of my money, they took my license. I was grounded, not by my mama or my daddy. I got grounded. It's different when you get grounded by life. But I promise you, until you get grounded by life, you'll never learn that you can fly. See, you was running before. You was running. And you thought that you was bragging because you was running fast. But when you get grounded, you learn that we have wings. And once you learn that we have wings, then becomes a challenge of a student, and you learn how to fly. Or is it your desire just to get back to running? This world celebrates us because of what we do, but we benefit the most when we realize who we are, so that we can become, so that we can be, so that we can operate as. Because I can't operate as who I was designed to be if I don't even know what that is. Then comes the compromise. Well, since I don't know what I am and why I am, then I might as well mirror the people who appear to be doing well around me, because I don't understand that appearances are but illusions. Everyone with an occupation that I came across, I identified how happy and fulfilled they were to see if it was an occupation that I needed to apply myself to. See, at that point, I had probably had 80 jobs. I had done just about everything you could think of heterosexually within the streets. I had paired money with happiness until I identified all of these people who I came across that had money but weren't fulfilled, were miserable. I was close to the plug. Scratch that. I was close to the plug's plug. Even though it wasn't nothing to see, bricks from overseas, just walking in the room. I realized within his continents, stress, a pain, an emptiness that I was overcoming. And how is it that you have everything that I wish for and long for and I'm pursuing, and you still feel like me? And again, as a student of life, I knew it was something there for me to see, something there for me to uncover, something there for me to step over. I knew the streets weren't for me because I had never met a truly happy person in the streets. I had never met a truly giving person in the streets. I met a lot of people who would do the very common and average thing, which is, of course, exchange. What does it look like when you give and you do, and it's not reciprocated or it's not appreciated? That's how you identify who's a giver. Oh, well, I naturally a giver, but I done learned I gotta watch the energy of the people that I'm giving to, and then when it's not reciprocated, now I take my energy and I give it where it's appreciated. It's because you're not a giver. You want to exchange, and it's okay because that's common, and that's the thing. So many people want to do common things, but want to be seen as different, want to be seen as better. If you do common things, you can't be upset that we see you as common. You do ordinary, normal things. You can't be upset that we see you as ordinary and normal. True, genuine love to give and extend yourself with nothing in return all the time, forever. Who's really giving that? And I really said all that just to get down to what's the why. You may not be able to tell me your why for being here, but I can tell you mine. I'm most fulfilled in life, just like you, when I'm creating. I'm most fulfilled in life, just like you, when I'm giving and extending of the abundance within. And in this grimy world of the internet, my niche is to just be 100, to just be as brutally honest as my mother was. Because since my mother was brutally honest, I've learned to identify brute honesty with love, not hate. So I'm gonna shoot it straight, and I'm gonna always shoot it straight. Now, I never apologize to you for shooting it straight, especially since I warned you and told you that that's what it is. Don't ever look for me to mirror how you feel about something. Don't ever look for me to echo what it is that you won't say it. When we talk, we talking truth, we talking reality, we talking facts. Feelings aside. Hey man, I would tell you to like the video, subscribe, share it, comment, but you already know what make videos go on here. You already know what make channels grow. If there's somewhere that you want to be, if there's a journey that you want to embark on and don't want to do it alone, bro, lock in. I'm with you the whole way. Big bro, little bro, it's all the same. We family.